a second, but there we go. All right, and we've got some upcoming sessions. Next week, I will actually be talking about Chromebook accessibility, and registration information will come out this afternoon for that, but you can click on the link in the slides. Then the following week, we'll have open office hours where you can come back and talk about any of the topics that we've covered recently or any other topic that is of interest to you. And then on November 3rd, we're going to start a series of AT Lending Library contacts. And we're going to start with the STAR Lending Library with Amy Perrin. So keep an eye out for that registration information. So we are continuing to do office hours to share information across the region. We know that there are great people doing great things across the region, and we want to make sure that we're sharing those. And that collaboration is really helpful. Whenever we think about technology, we think about the SET framework. We want it to be student-centered, so we start by thinking about the student and their strengths and areas of need. Then the environments in which they are doing those specific tasks then that we as a team and they as individuals would like to be able to do with a higher level of independence or higher level of accuracy. And then we overlay the tools, the assistive technology tools on top of that. Always looking through that lens of equity to make sure that every student gets exactly what it is that he or she or they need. We're going to start out with some sharing by Sherri Walker. That we'll make sure that we have time for question and answers at the end. And then in the slides, there are some additional resources and we can do a wrap up too. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Sherri Walker. I will stop screen sharing. And Sherri is an ASD teacher at Denfeld High School for the Duluth Public Schools, and she is back here by popular demand. She has been requested to be back by people who have seen her previous presentations on Jamboard. She's shared great information in the past, and she's here to share with us some updates and information about Jamboard. So I will turn it over to you, Sherri.
Okay. So I originally started learning how to work with Jamboard because, okay, I'm a little rusty at Google Meet, so sorry. I originally learned how to use Jamboards because of the fact that I wanted to have my Google Meets be more interactive with my students. I had a nonverbal student, and Jamboard created a great bridge for us to be able to communicate. So there are a couple different ways that you can get into Jamboard. So what Jamboard is it's an interactive whiteboard. And so it's been built in right into your Google Meet. And if you click on whiteboard, it will just bring it right up with a new one, and you can choose one from the drive. So if you start a brand new one, it will look like this. And everybody in the meeting will be able to access. Oops, did I just close that? I'm sorry. Well, when you're in a meeting, you will be able to use it with everyone in the, whoops, the wrong one, with everyone in the meeting. And when you're using it with everyone, they can interact on the Jamboard. So this is an example of how I have started to use it in my classroom now. I do a check-in every hour with my students. And so this is an example of one that I have. I just inserted emojis, and how you do that is you just click on add an image, doing a Google image search, and then type in the like whatever image you want to find. And I'm just going to type in happy emoji. And it gives you this variety, and you choose one. Works a lot like Google Drive, and you can insert it. And then what I do is I have kids put their name. So if they take out their Chromebook right away, I just have them put their name on a sticky note, and then they put the sticky note with how they're feeling. So that's one way. Another way that I've used Google or the Jamboard is for spelling. I created this background in Google Drive or Google Slides and downloaded it as a JPEG, and then I uploaded it as a background. So if you go to set background, it gives you options here to put on there. There's like just the clear white one, the dots, the lines, a couple different graph papers, and then a couple colored backgrounds. But if you want to, one of the students was working there. I'll just quickly show you how to add a different background. So let's say I just want a picture of fall leaves. I can just type in fall leaves. Let's say I want this one here, and I can it will set it up as my background. And now I'm ready to do whatever I want with that on top of that background. It does not erase, so the kids can't do anything with that, which was nice for this activity that we were doing here, where I just set up all of these sticky notes, which you make by clicking on the sticky note. You type your information. So let's see, if I write fake and I save it, it just automatically goes onto my board. And then the kids had to take and sort these into the correct spelling category. And that's what this whole Jamboard was about. Let's see, what else? I've done things. I can show you some Jamboards that I've done that are a little more interactive. We play Hangman a lot on here. I showed a student how to make a hot dog when we were doing distance learning. I put the directions on here. And so like I would have the pictures down here and then the direction, and he had to match the picture with the direction. And then he actually went and did it in his own microwave. That was one thing. But the best thing about Jamboard is you can take and write, and anybody who has access can write with the pen. And if you have a touch screen, you can just use your finger to write with, which I found much easier. But it's also a great way to be able to interact with your students. You can also make shapes. It works a lot like Google Slides. Say if I want to make a square, you can do that, and you can change the color of it if you want to. They have limited colors. It's not like in Google Drive, but there are limited colors. And the kids can move anything that you put on there unless it's on there as a background. So just be aware of that. There's a laser, which kids, whoops, didn't work there. Kids love to use this laser. And then you have your text box. And you just type in it like you would a normal text box. I have one Jamboard. It wasn't created by me. It was created by another teacher in the district. But it was a fun one because you can layer your pictures Well, actually, I'll show you this one. This one was kind of fun. When you layer your pictures, you can do quite a few concepts. So I just put a table here, and we were working on language concepts of under, on, next to, in. So like if I gave the direction for the student to put the box on the table, he had to put the box on the table. If I said under, he had to move it under. So you can do a lot of different kinds of interactions that way.
Shoot.
It's, that's that's the simple version of Jamboard. Can you think of anything else that they would want to see, Julie?
Well, I have a question for you, Sherri. As you talked about, what students sort of have permission, quote unquote, permission to be able to do. You said they can move anything that you create on there, other than the background.
Right.
Can they create any of those elements? Like, so they can make sticky notes, they can use the pen, they can create any of those items also?
Yep, and they can download images. So I've also had students go on the Jamboard, go into that image and actually look for certain pictures to download into the Jamboard so that it's theirs even more. I could see using that like for vocabulary, where I would give them a word of like an object and have everybody go and find a different object. And then we talk about that object. And how different it looks, but it's all the same. So yeah, they can do everything that you can do, and you can't restrict it at this point. So
that makes it interesting, I bet. But I like that ability. I've used Jamboards even with adults facilitating meetings, and it's nice to get that interactivity and lots of different ways to do that.
Well, if we looked at the spelling, I was looking at one of them, and they added a bunch of stickies to it. But like this is all them. I put the letters at the top, and then they put all of the stickies on there, and they wrote all of the words on there. So that's all them.
That's really cool, Sherri. So that on that slide, or
yep, this one
frame, on that frame, yeah, they call them frames. I always call them slides. I get stuck in Google.
I do too.
Yeah, so like on that's great. So that a student who didn't have the fine motor skills to draw on a touch screen could drag the letters, or if they weren't able to type the specific letters on a sticky note, they could just move those letters. Having all those options for multiple means of expression, that's pretty cool for me.
Yeah, the day we did this, I had a lot of this happening.
Sure.
And I had to say, put them back in the box, and they'll do it because they want to keep working on it.
Right. Sherri, I see your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you're comfortable with that.
Can you infinitely clone those letter options so that they could drag from them and use the letters themselves?
So what I've done, if I want a bunch of them, I just copy and paste. So in here, whoops, wrong one. On this one, all I would do is I do that, click on that, and duplicate as many times as I wanted to. In fact, that's how I got all the E's to be the same size, is I just copied and pasted, duplicated them. But yeah, you could. I've done that with, so like my sticky notes on this page, they were all originally in groups like this. See, here's one that the kids just made up. But yeah, that's how they all started out, was in these piles. And I assigned a color to each kid, and they had to categorize them. But they can do, like I said, they can do whatever you can do. So.
That's a great question, Sherri. It brings up the idea that some of those items can be moved forward or backward in the items. So, like Sherri showed us, like the one with the table on it, where things are being put on the table.
Yeah.
Sherri, can you show us how you would do that within each particular item?
Oops, that's not the one we want. Okay, so like here, this is all like when you put these on, so like I'd say bring the table forward. If I wanted this cat to be behind the table, you click here and you click on order, and you can send it backward. Whoops, didn't go backward though. If you send it to the back, okay, so it's yeah. So now it's in the back of the table. But when and I had to teach this to the student, where he had to make everything go backwards if it wouldn't go in the box. So like now it can go in the box. That can go in the box. And it's just, I kept sending the pictures back so that they were behind that original image. So, I have one of a student that the teacher made, where they have to do a car. They have to figure out when to walk across the road. I thought I had it up. I think it might be this one. So I didn't make this one, so I don't know exactly. This is not the one I was thinking of. But they have to, so I know what she did. Like, these can be pulled off to the side. So they had to decide if the person was breaking the law or not, if it was a good thing to go or not. And you can do a lot of those kinds of things where the kids have to make choices for what's going on in the frame. I have a bunch of different, I can show a lot of different things, but I'm not sure what like people want to see. So.
Sure. So for all of you here joining us, feel free to unmute yourselves or type anything in the chat window that you'd like to see. Sherri would really show us some great stuff.
So like today I have a plan to use this for math for place value. So the plan is that and I don't have it all created yet, but I'll put a place value grid on the frame, and then the kids will each get a different frame, and they'll have to put the dots in the right spot. I've done that. We've done a money counting one where we've downloaded the actual picture of the coins and then just put different amounts, and then they have to type in the amounts of the money. And it's a little easier to, you might be saying, well, what's the difference between this and Google Slides? This is a little easier to change on the fly. This is like if you're presenting the lesson right there, you can make the changes easier than if you're in Google Slides. It's not quite as cumbersome, but it can be very kind of fancy if you if you want it to be. So
That's great. And I wonder if anyone who's in here today with us has any thoughts on ways that you might use it or ways that you have used it if you've used it before. Go ahead,
Go
Sherry.
ahead.
I see your hand up.
I've never used it before, so thank you for showing me what that is. What I'm curious about is I would like to use it for staff meetings. Just like you were saying, I feel like our Google Meets are getting a little old. Like at first it was fun to learn all the functions on the Google Meet, but now it's kind of been a while. So how I can get staff just more interactive. So that's really sort of what I'm looking for, is how to use it with other adults in a staff meeting.
So, Sherry, I'm actually going to be using it this afternoon with a not quite a staff meeting, but a team meeting. And we're going to be doing some, I guess, collaborative decision making processes. And so we're going to be doing, I don't know if you've heard of Hot Dot and what that is. But basically, you would have the choices. If you were doing it in person, you would have the choices up around the room or whatever, and people would take their sticky dots or a marker or whatever and go around and get a certain number of dots that they could allocate to those different things. So, what it does, a process like that, is allows you to kind of weight your choices so that you might give 3 dots to this one, 0 to this one, and 2 to this one. But so what I'm doing in Jamboard is I'm making all those little dots, like Sherry showed how she made all those, letters or post-it and sticky notes. I've made a bunch of circles. She showed us how you could make the shapes in there. I've made them different colors, and then I'll have people be able to move their 5 dots to whatever those choices are, and I've made the choices on sticky notes. So. Um, that's one thing. We're also doing a fishbone activity where you try to develop the causes of a certain, we call them problematunities sometimes, of opportunities to for growth, I guess. And something that I made the background, like Sherry said, make the background is the outline of the fish. I can show you if you want. Are you curious?
Or I was going to say we could just actually do one on one of these jam boards.
Sure. Well, let me show you the one that I made,
Okay.
and then I would love to do one together.
I'll
I'll
stop
do one.
presenting then and give it back to you.
Sure. I'll do one. We'll do one, and then you all can do your own independently. All right. So let me see. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Great. So basically, what I've done is the fishbone itself, this diagram, all these black lines are the background. And then I've put in here text boxes because each of these will be a cause and then the details why. So I just put a sample in there. But then basically, people will be able to type in here. Whoops. We'll reload it. Then they'll be able to type in any one of these with a text box so that they can put their cause up here or their details why down here. Then eventually what they're going to do is use that do this like with that I talked about with the hot dots. So they'll be able to move their dots to make the votes.
I'm
What
not seeing it on my screen.
Oh, you aren't seeing that. Okay.
No.
Let me share again. I had to reload it. So let me show you that tab again. Sorry about that.
I'm not sure you're presenting. Oh, there we go.
Okay, great. So this is again, the background, all the black lines are that fishbone is a background, an image that I downloaded off of Google. And then I put in text boxes here. And then people will also be able to type in their own text boxes. What are some of the causes? And then also type in for details why. And then these are the hot dots that I made. So people will be able to take and drop their hot dots by whatever it is that they want to vote for. So that's just one example of how I'm planning on using it.
So there's also a really good YouTube video put out by New Ed Tech Classroom. It's just called Google Jamboard Master Class. And I got a lot of ideas from there on how to expand using Jamboard. I would highly recommend it.
Great. That's a great recommendation for some more in-depth pieces. Did people want to take some time and create a Jamboard here? We've got a few minutes left.
I missed the beginning, so I can't remember how to start the process.
So if you're in Google Meet, you can just click on the 3 dots and open a new whiteboard. If you want to have one kind of pre-made, you need to go into your waffle in the upper right-hand corner, and Jamboard should be listed there, and then bring it up that way. But if you start it from Google Meet, it will automatically share with everybody in your group.
So Sherri started one at the beginning, and then what happened is we got a link to in this Google Meet, a link to that particular Jamboard.
Okay, so then if you're doing this with your students, then they would all access it from their iPad?
Yeah, they could.
Okay.
If you do it within the Google Meet, if you have it already pre-made, you're going to have to share it.
Okay.
So here, I'll present for just a minute. So for example, when I did my spelling one, I always forget to click that button. When I did the spelling one, I just shared it all from here and had their emails ready to go and put them all in there. So, and it just takes a few more minutes than if you do it like while you're in the Meet. It's not that hard.
So if you do it right from Jamboard, it's basically the same? You still hit share?
No, you don't. You don't have to. It will automatically share with whoever is in the Google Meet.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it makes it easier that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know of anybody who's in a Google Meet anymore teaching. I mean, hopefully we never have to be again.
Yeah, we've got some students who are in some unique situations who might be accessing that option, but yeah, with a lot more districts in person, there's a lot less of that. But Sherri, are you doing any of that, like Jamboards for students when they're in your classrooms now that Duluth has a Chromebook for each student?
Yeah, this spelling activity I just did last week. So that was all done with kids sitting at a Chromebook in my classroom, which they thought was, they really liked that idea because they had a lot of control in what was going on. Too much control, but yeah, it worked well with the one-to-one devices in the classroom. I didn't have a lot of kids running up to the board and trying to take over the class that way. It's good for classroom management.
Very
cool. It would be even better if you could disable the laser. The laser is what they really like to use.
Sure. Well, I just want to acknowledge that it's just at 12:30 now. I'm going to stop recording, but anyone can feel free to hang around if you've got time. And